I'm Wendy Smith. I'm an electric acoustic composer and sound designer, which means I make compositions with sound. That can be found sounds, which is anything objects you find around. So you could record a kettle, or you could record a ball bouncing, and then I would transform it and edit it with tools and processing software. But I also go out in nature and in urban environments and record the landscape around me, so whether that's traffic or birds singing. I first select the sounds I like that I've recorded, edit them, process them, so put them through a number of different effects to bring out different qualities or to completely change the sound altogether. You can want some quite surreal sounds, or you can want the sounds to sound how they do in their natural state. So you would just boost levels and different parameters in the sound. So you're basically sculpting with sound. I always knew I wanted to be creative. I have dyslexia, so I think very creatively, but I never knew it was going to be music till high school. And that wasn't in sound so much, it was more instruments that you kind of get started with. And it wasn't until university till I discovered electric acoustic composition. And that's kind of where I've stayed and just experimented. Art. Yeah, I was always drawing, making stuff. I was always in art clubs as well, so it was really important. When I did music, I would be in orchestras and bands away from the school environment, which was great because you get to collaborate with people creatively and you get to work together. So that was really important as well. I do think I really like learning. I think having dyslexia, you do struggle a lot with certain subjects, but you always find a way around them, or you have to find a way the subject will make sense to you. So sometimes you don't come to it as your friend maybe would come to it in school, but you will get there. That was a really great project. It was led by the children of Halton. When I came on the project, a lot of it was already shaped because there was a poet working on it that created this kind of story and narrative about the Bleach Packers. So I took that poem into a sound workshop where people responded by choosing objects to record. They would use them objects to kind of make the atmosphere of what they thought the factories would sound like, or the tools that would be heard in the factories. So they would record the sounds and then process and edit the sounds to get the material they wanted, and then I would take that away and compose with it. We had like marbles, cutlery, tin foil, paper. Paper was important because of the Bleach Packers were wearing costumes that were made of paper, so that was an important sound source. A lot of them would combine sounds together, so someone would hit a pan or use a hairdryer to kind of make gas noises that Bleach Packers were probably exposed to. So it was just exploring what was in front of them and seeing what they could make. I always write in a sketchbook. I always draw in a sketchbook as well, because I'm quite a visual learner, so all my sketchbooks are very brightly coloured, and that's important because you can track ideas, you can show how your ideas develop. Some ideas you might never make come true, but generally it's always good to note them down. I would always put time in to plan and experiment, just because you may have an idea but it might not work out, so you may have to go another route, so I always think that's very important too. It depends on the artwork. Sometimes you're given a brief that you have to answer, so you kind of have to respond. Sometimes you come up with an idea yourself and you just have to run with it, or sometimes you'll collaborate with someone and you will lean on each other and both kind of come up with ideas, so it really depends on what you're working on at the time. I think it depends on the artist, but I feel collaboration for me and my practice is so important because you learn so much. And it's not even just collaboration within music, you should collaborate with artists from different fields because you never know what you're going to produce, like you never know what you're going to learn, and you never know how they're going to shape your practice either. So it's very important just to keep growing as an artist, and you do that with people as well as with your own research. I would love to collaborate with Vicky Clark. She's a Manchester-based artist who works in sound. She works with AI and she builds her own microphones to record her own sound, and I would just love the opportunity to learn off her practice, produce her work with her and just gain skills from her and learn how she shapes her work and how she comes up with ideas. I find her whole musical output fascinating. At the moment it is probably a lot of women composers in sound because I'm doing a PhD that's looking at early women composers who have been forgotten, and at the moment I'm studying Janet B and Elzbieta Sikora, so just hearing how they made the kind of music when they didn't have access to studios and all the different challenges they had to face just to be able to make the music is really inspiring. Well, I never thought I could be a composer when I kind of stumbled on the field in high school just because they are mainly white male composers. You're introduced to Beethoven and Mozart, you're not really introduced to women. So doing research for my PhD, some women are a bit known like Delia Derbyshire or Daphne Oram, but some women you kind of had to dig for, and that's kind of what I hope to do with my PhD, is shine a light on these women, but using creative practice to pay homage to them. Probably the Doctor Who theme tune, just because it was one of the early works in electronic music. It's written by a woman composer and it's kind of become this cult classic kind of piece of music that everyone knows because it was streamed into everyone's living rooms. So even if you're not a fan of Doctor Who or electronic music, you would have probably heard this piece, and it just shows you the potential what you can do with sound and the different worlds you can create. The piece I'm most proudest of is my sound installation called Dyslexia Gateway, which shares the dyslexic's perspective. And that was just important to do because it shares it through sound and visuals, and it's interactive. So the audience kind of create the work by typing on a keyboard, and it will produce sounds and visuals showing how dyslexics construct words, which can go wrong in the installation as well. Letters get mixed up. So that was like really important for me to show. It was a finalist for Liverpool City Region's Culture and Creativity Award, so that was really a proud moment as well. With sound you can create different sound worlds. One piece I did was like a space journey, so you moved around different planets' atmospheres, so that was fun, and I used sounds from NASA to kind of recreate that. But I do think with sound you can create these different environments and spaces, and they can be real, they can be surreal, they can be like a dream world. You can really take it anywhere you can envision, which is great. We're at Norton Priory. It's a local heritage site in the community of Halton, and I've used Norton Priory for a number of different projects. One of the most recent ones was I got the opportunity to record Norton Priory's beehives, which was amazing. There's a medieval historical replica of a bell, so I recorded that for a project to pay homage to Janet B, because bells are prominent in Beat's own musical practice, and there's a great story that Janet shares about how she used to have sound dreams, and she used to always dream that she would hear a bell ringing in the distance, and as it would get closer and closer she would actually turn into the bell and the bell would flip, and Janet would be like the bell kind of ringing inside, and this was like a nightmare she was having as a child. But that influenced all her music. It can be heard in her instrumental music as well as her electronic. For this piece, I'm just trying to recreate the sound world in Janet's dream. So I recorded Norton's bell with a field recorder, as well as using binaural headphones so you can hear the bell in 3D ringing inside.